We start the neurological examination of lower limbs by first inspecting the gait. Now turn around and go back. Okay, come back again. Turn around. Go. Okay. The next step is to look for the tandem gait. That is, you ask the patient to keep the heel to the toes and then walk on a straight line. Adiya ඒ වගේ තියාගෙන යන්න. Head line, turn around. You look for ataxia, and if there's any ataxia, you proceed into the next step, that is to look for the Romberg sign. අත් දෙක දිග අරගන්න ඉස්සරහට. පොඩ්ඩක් මේ පැත්තට හැරෙන්න. කකුල් දෙකත් එක ළඟට තියාගන්න. Keep the feet together, arms held in front, and then ask the patient to close the eyes. ඇස් දෙක වහගන්න. See whether there is any sway. After testing for the gait, we proceed on to the examination of the lower limbs from neurological point of view, and we divide that into several components. First we inspect the lower limbs, then we test for muscle power, tone, reflexes, coordination, and then lastly the sensory examination. When you inspect, you should expose the patient well. Look for the muscle bulk and for fasciculation. Look for any wasting, particularly the quadriceps, peroneal muscles, and also look for any hypertrophy of the muscles. Carefully inspect the soles for any trophic changes or for any ulcers. When you test for tone, you should ask the patient to relax. Then you keep your hands behind the knee and flick the leg up like this. Like this. Now if the tone is hypertonic, when you lift it up, the whole leg will come up like this and then slowly drop down. If the leg is flaccid, you will feel that the tone is very much reduced and the whole leg feels very, very flaccid. You do the same thing with the other leg. Keep your hands behind the knee and flick it up like this in a jerky movement. It's a normal tone. The other way to test for tone is to keep one hand behind the knee, other hand on top of the knee, and roll it like this and look at the big toe, the movement of the big toe. You can assess whether the tone is normal, low, or whether it is hypertonic. If the tone is increased, then you should look for the clonus. There are two places where you test for clonus. One is the patellar clonus, other one is the ankle clonus. This is how you test for patellar clonus. You make a fist with your right hand, keep it behind the knee so that knee is slightly flexed. Then keep the other hand on top of the patella and stretch the skin fold like this. With a sharp jerky movement, you push the patella down and see whether you feel any jerks or clonus of the patella. To test for ankle clonus, again it's important that the knee is flexed and the heel is off the ground. You hold it like this, and with the right hand you make a quick dorsiflexion movement of the foot. If the clonus is positive, then you will feel it going like this. Presence of hypertonia and clonus are signs of upper motor neuron lesions. You do the same thing on the other side. Test for patellar clonus and the ankle clonus. When you test muscle power, you usually confine yourself to major muscle groups. You test the 4 groups of muscles at the hip joint. Those are the flexors, extensors, abductors and adductors. And at the knee joint, the flexion and extension. And at the ankle joint, dorsiflexion, plantar flexion, inversion, eversion, and lastly, the big toe dorsiflexion. At the end of examining each muscle group for power, you should be able to grade the power on a 0 to 5 scale. And as you already know, 0 is no power at all, not even a flicker of movement, and 5 normal power. Power 4, there is weakness, but the patient is able to exercise muscle power against some resistance. Power 3 is no movement is possible against resistance, but person can perform the movement against gravity. And grade 2, so movement is possible only when gravity is eliminated. And grade 1, only a flicker of movement. Let's move on to test the muscle power. First we start with the hip. Nansir මේ කකුල දෙට උස්සන්න. හොඳට උස්සන්න. මට පාත් කරන්න දෙන්න එපා. Ask him to lift it against resistance. මේකත් එහෙම කරන්න. හොඳට උඩට උස්සන්න, පාත් කරන්න දෙන්න එපා. Keep it like this. Don't let me push down. Hip flexors. Always compare the sides. කකුල් දෙක ඈත් කරන්න. ඈත් කරන්න. මට ලං කරන්න දෙන්න එපා. Ask him to keep the legs apart and try and resist that. You're testing the abductors. කකුල් දෙක ලං කරන්න. ලං කරන්න. මට ඈත් කරන්න දෙන්න එපා. Ask him to keep the legs together and you try to pull them apart. You're testing the adductors. මගේ අත මේ ඇඳට තියලා හොඳට තද කරන්න. Ask him to push down. Here I am testing the extensors. මේකෙත් ඒ වගේ කරන්න. Push down. හොඳට පාත් කරන්න. I am trying to lift it up. When you test the muscle power, always compare the sides. Then I go down onto the knee. මේ කකුල නවන්න. මගේ අතට විරුද්ධව තල්ලු කරන්න. හොඳට දිගාරින්න. I ask him to push against my hand. And you look at the muscle bulk here. I am testing the knee extensors, that is the quadriceps. මේකත් එහෙම කරන්න. නවල මගේ අතට විරුද්ධව තල්ලු කරන්න. Push against my hand. මේක දැන් නවන්න. විලුඹ තියාගෙන ඉන්න මෙතනට මට දිගාරින්න දෙන්න එපා. I ask the patient to keep the heel close to the buttocks and I am trying to extend it. I am testing the knee flexors. Then දිගාරින්න එක. මේකත් බලන්න. ඔහොම තියාගෙන මට දිගාරින්න දෙන්න එපා. I am trying to pull it this way and he is trying to bring the heel close to the buttocks. These muscles are the flexors of the knee joint. Let's go to the ankle joint. There are a few important movements there. First, let's test the dorsiflexion. කකුල් දෙක මෙහෙම උඩට තියාගෙන ඉන්න. කොහොමද තියාගෙන ඉන්නේ? මට පාත් කරන්න හදන්න දෙන්න එපා. I am trying to push it down, and he is contracting his dorsiflexors and keeping the feet dorsiflexed. Plantar flexion. මගේ අතට තද කරන්න. He's pushing down, and I am trying to keep feet up. Push down. පාගන්න හොඳට. Plantar flexion. Dorsiflexion of the big toe. මෙහෙම ඇඟිල්ල තියාගන්න. මට තල්ලු කරන්න දෙන්න එපා. I am trying to push it down. මේකත් එහෙම තියාගන්න. Hold it up. Don't let me push down. Then let's look at the inversion. කකුල් දෙක මෙහෙම තියාගන්න එකට කරලා. Get the patient to hold the feet together like this, and you try to push them on the opposite direction. That is inversion. And eversion, you get the patient to keep the feet the other way around. මෙහෙම තියාගන්න අනිත් පැත්තට. And we try and bring them together. කොහොම තියාගන්න මට ලං කරන්න දෙන්න එපා. There are two important reflexes in the lower limbs that you should test. One is the knee jerk and the other one is the ankle jerk. Let's look at the knee jerk first. You keep the knee partially flexed with your hand supporting behind the knee and the quadricep muscle well exposed. The response you expect to see is the contraction of the quadriceps with slight extension of the leg. Once you position the knee, you locate the patellar tendon. The patellar tendon is the hollow between the patella and the tibial tuberosity. With the knee hammer, you hit the patellar tendon at right angles and watch for the response. You do the same thing with the other leg. Quadriceps exposed, knee partially flexed and supported, patellar tendon located, and the knee hammer hitting the tendon almost at right angle. It's not necessary to hold both legs together like this. Let's look at the ankle jerk. When you test for the ankle jerk, again the knee should be partially flexed. The patient should be well relaxed and the foot slightly dorsiflexed. With the knee hammer, you hit the tendon here, Achilles tendon, and look for the response. The response, as you can see here, is the contraction of the flexors here and plantar flexion of the foot. You do the same thing with the other leg. Knee partially flexed, foot slightly dorsiflexed, and you hit the tendon looking for the response. Once you do these two deep tendon reflexes, the next you proceed on to the one of the superficial reflexes, that is looking for the Babinski response. To test for Babinski response, you use a blunt object like a key and stroke the lateral part of the sole, starting from the heel and going up to the ball of the big toe. The pressure you apply should be firm. The response you see in a normal person is the flexion of the big toe. If the Babinski is positive, the big toe will be extended like this. That again is a sign of upper motor neuron lesion. Once you do on one side, compare with the other. The best test for coordination is examination of the gait, which we did at the beginning. Let me show you how to do the heel, knee, shin test. නන්දසේන මේ කකුල මේකේ කරමු. මේකෙන් අපි ඉස්සෙල්ලා කරමු. මේ කකුල උස්සන්න. මෙතන තියන්න ධනිස තියලා මෙතන ධාර දිගේ පාතට ගෙනියන්න. You have to instruct the patient to lift the heel up, bring it down on the knee, and then to slide it down along the shin. It's correct. That's good. Make it correct. You make sure that he does not slide the heel on the groove here. It should be along the shin. මෙහෙම උඩට ගෙනහිල්ලා ධනිස්සට තියලා මෙතනින් ගේන්න. You can improve the sensitivity of the test by asking the patient to do the same with the eyes closed. නන්දසේන ඇස් දෙක වහගෙන කරන්න බලන්න එහෙම. That's very good. මේකෙත් කරන්න. ඇස් දෙක වහගෙන. You can expect this test to be abnormal in cerebellar diseases as well as in gross defects of the proprioception. There are 4 important modalities of sensations you should test: pain, touch, proprioception, and vibration. You need to test for temperature only if it is specifically indicated. When you test for sensation, you should compare the sites and do the testing in dermatomes. This is L1, this is L2, L3 is mainly the medial side of the knee, L4, L5 goes right round like this, and the S1 is this lateral border and most of the sole. You use a toothpick to test for pain sensation. Just make sure that patient understands that what you are testing is not mere touch, but the sharpness or the pain. නන්දසේන මේක දැනෙනකොට උලක් වගේ දැනෙනවද? මොහොතට රිදිල්ලක් වගේ දැනෙනවා. මට ආයෙත් ඒ වගේම දැනෙනවා නම් කියන්න. You get the patient to close the eyes and ask him to say yes every time he feels the pain of the toothpick. ඇස් දෙක වහගෙන ඉන්න. මම මේක තියනකොට ඒ වගේ වේදනාව දැනෙනවා නම් දැනෙන හැම සැරේම ඔව් කියලා කියන. මම අහන්නේ දැනෙනවද නැද්ද කියලා. I am not going to ask the patient whether he feels the pain or not, but I have instructed him to say yes every time he feels it. Test in the dermatomes. Once you do on this side, you need to get the patient on face down position and test for the dermatomes on the other side of the leg. Particularly it's important that you test for pain sensation around the anus and the genitalia, because in certain conditions there is sacral sparing of a pain sensation. When it comes to touch, as we have instructed in our previous videos, you should not test for pressure but only touch. So that is why you use a cotton wool and not just finger to press like this. You are testing for light touch. Again you ask the patient to close the eyes and say yes every time you feel it. There are a few things that you should not do. One is to stroke it like this, and the second is to apply too much of pressure like this. Let's look at the proprioception. First we test the proprioception or joint position sense at the big toe. නන්දසේන මේ පොඩ්ඩක් බලා ගන්න. මම මෙහිම ඇඟිල්ල අල්ලගෙන මේ පැත්තට අපි කියමු පහත කියලා, මේ පැත්තට උඩ කියලා. Let's call this down and this up. Then I ask the patient to close the eyes and to tell me whether it is up or down. Then නන්දසේන ඇස් දෙක වහගෙන කියන්න මේක යටටද උඩටද තියෙන්නේ කියලා. දැන් කොහටද තියෙන්නේ නන්දසේන? උඩට. දැන් දැන් කොහටද තියෙන්නේ? දැන් තියෙන්නේ මේකෙත් ඒ වගේම බලමු. දැන් තියෙන්නේ කොහටද? දැන් Now there are a few important points that I would like to emphasize. First thing is that I am not holding the big toe like this. I hold it on the side. And the other point is I have immobilized the proximal joint with these two fingers. So that is not moving, only one joint is moving. Then කොහට තියෙන්නේ? ඉන්න මම අහපුවම කියන්න. දැන් කොහට තියෙන්නේ? Other point that you should remember is never go up down in that order, in that sequence. Always do either 2 or 3 down or 2 or 3 up without any particular order. Vibration sense, you use a tuning fork and say make a දැනෙනවද? මේක දෙදරනවා වගේ දැනෙනවද? And I ask the patient whether he feels a vibration, not just the touch or the coldness of that. දෙදරනවා දැනෙනවනේ? ඒ වගේම දෙදරනවා දැනෙනවා නම් කියන්න. Keep it on the medial malleolus. If the vibration sense is absent here, you move proximally. The next point you test is over the tibial tuberosity. Then if that is also absent, then you move up onto the anterior superior iliac spine. You end the neurological examination of the lower limbs by inspecting the spine. Look for any deformities or scars and run your finger down the spine. There are 2 questions that you need to ask at the end of any neurological examination. The one is where is the lesion, and the 2 is what the lesion is. The answer to the first question, that is where the lesion is, usually comes from the physical examination. බොහොම ස්තුතියි නන්දසේන.